Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to episode 9 of Grandmaster Chess. And today's special guest is going to be a world class trainer, Grandmaster R.B Ramesh. We are going to get him and also the comedians on the screen in a bit. But first, a warm welcome to everyone in the chat. Over here, I see a very interesting person today in the chat, and that is Praggnanandhaa, who's already here. And guys, this is amazing because while all of you, while Biswa, Vaibhav will try to solve the positions and get it solved by Ramesh sir, get the answers from Ramesh. If you have any doubts, Prag can actually solve them in the chat. So you can ask him if you have any questions or anything of that sort. Thank you, Prag, for joining in. By the way, before I introduce you to the guest, I want to show you one image which has always been very, very special for me. Because this is the image from 2015 World Youth Championship. And if you see, India won 5 gold medals at the World Youth. So there were countries, there were players from around over 100 countries playing there. And each of these players was student of Ramesh. You see Bharat Subramaniam, Vaishali, Praggnanandhaa, Rakshita Ravi, and Mahalakshmi. All of them trained in Chess Gurukul with Ramesh. So this is just one example. He has many others. He has so many grandmasters he has trained. He has so many, from Praggnanandhaa, Karthikeyan, Aravindh Chithambaram, Bharat, Vaishali, Rakshita. The list is endless, and it gives me immense pleasure to invite him today to our show. Hello, welcome, Ramesh. How are you?
Yeah. Hello, Sagar. I'm good. How are you? Hello, Vaibhav.
Good to
Hi,
see
Ramesh. Sir.
So nice to be here. It's a fantastic initiative to bring people from different fields and getting them introduced to chess. And also, this has created a tremendous interest among non-chess playing public as well. So it's a fantastic initiative, and congrats to each and every one of you.
Thank you. And actually, I have stopped considering Biswa and Vaibhav to be not non-chess players. They are more than chess players. They play more chess than chess. Sorry.
I was mainly about the audience.
No, I mean, the thing is, they have been so much into chess, and this series has been possible because of their enthusiasm. They want to learn, and they have a lot of doubts all the time. They have a lot of questions about chess, and I felt that you will be one of the best persons to answer them. So, Biswa, Vaibhav, today, all the questions that you have would please go ahead and ask Ramesh sir. I would say one of the best trainers, not just in India, but all across the world. And also, I would say today we are going to check a game of Ramesh, which will have 10 questions. And we are following this contest, which has reached a very exciting stage. If you look here, these are the points right now. In the last 8. So it's 41.5 to Biswa, 48 to Weibo. And in fact, both of them have attended each and every session. Anirban today is slightly busy, and Samay is off, taking an off from any kind of streaming today. So this is the score, and guys, today is your chance, Biswa, to come closer, or Weibo to move ahead of Biswa. So it's going to be great fun. By the way,
you will be loading the game?
Sorry, yes, I will be loading the game from my end. You will be able to see it. We also have Frederick Friedel in the chat. So welcome, Frederick. Frederick is following this series regularly and also learning from it. And it will be great fun. So let me just make sure to fix this thing completely.
I'll just go get a pair of headphones. I can't hear very clearly with these.
Yeah, same. I'll just get headphones and come.
Okay. They switched it off, so it's slightly difficult.
So the voice is not very clear, or
Yeah, your voice is good enough. I think viewers, can you hear Ramesh well? Ramesh is also written in the chat. Hello, Frederick. Okay, brilliant. So while they arrive, I would like to tell you guys that yesterday itself we had a big launch of Ramesh's and a few other Grandmasters new initiative into coaching. Ramesh, that is, if you could just tell them a bit before Biswa and Vaibhav arrive. Maybe some of them might have missed it.
yeah, sure. So myself and a few other of my friends, we have launched an online training portal. It's called www.prochesstraining.com, and the website is not yet ready. We just made the announcement and will be beginning the work on the website. It's going to be a very exciting project, and we have 5 different groups and based on rating. So this is a new and exciting initiative because most of the training programs online that is available as of today, they don't focus too much based on the rating strength of the player. So by classifying the players into different groups based on the rating, we hope we'll be able to meet their actual requirements, because players from different levels, they'll have different requirements. So by this, we hope we'll be able to meet them. And apart from this, the special features will be like we have a fantastic group of trainers, already close to 20 masters have agreed to join our platform as trainers from around the world. And most of the top trainers from India already have signed up, and we'll be reaching out to more grandmasters from our country and abroad as well. And a few of the prominent names from India, myself, Suresh Shekhar Ganguly, Pentala Hari Krishna, Swapnil Dopre, Vishnu Prasanna, Srinath Narayanan, Vaibhav Suri, Karthikeyan Murali, Shyam Sundar, so Vance Mishra. So the list is big, and we also have Padmini Raut, Women Grandmaster Aarti Ramaswamy, Women International Master Michelle Katrina, and so on. So a lot of trainers, and also many top players are signing in the higher group, where we have a 2400 plus group. In that, we already have Praggnanandhaa and Karthikeyan Murali, and Daniel Naroditsky from US, and Ronak Sadhwani, so Deepsan Gupta, Arjun Erigasi.
It's an amazing initiative, right from beginners to all the top players are being covered in this. So would be fantastic for everyone to learn from this. And guys, there's an article on ChessBase India, so you can check it out. And now that we have Biswa and Vaibhav here, Ramesh, can you just put your camera a little lower so that there is less space above your head? Yeah, it's good.
Is this better?
Yes. Could you tell us a bit of the background of the game that we are going to see today?
Okay, so this game was played in the British Championship, which I won in 2002.
So you won that tournament, British Championship.
Yeah, I won the tournament in 2002, the British Championship. Back then, in the British Championship, all the countries can send their representatives. All the countries in the sense which were under British rule earlier in the past, so they could send their entries. So India have been sending our team to the British Championship. And after I won, the following year, Abhijit Kunte, whose game you're going to see, he won the championship the following year, and then they stopped Indian players from participating in the British Championship. In a way, it is also a good thing that the world is acknowledging our achievements. So this game was special because it was a very crucial game. I had to win this game to make my GM norm. So I had a GM norm which I made at the BL Open the previous year, 2001. And 2002, I was looking for my second norm. And in this game, it was a must-win situation where I had the white pieces against fellow Grandmaster Abhijit Kunte, who is very strong himself. And so this is the background. Okay. I need to win this game with the white pieces to make my GM now.
So just for the viewers, this was the penultimate round of the tournament.
Ninth round, and there were 2 more rounds after
Two more.
this.
So this was the 9th round, and usually to make a GM norm, you need a performance rating of 2600. So imagine you are playing against all opponents of 2600 strength. You need to score 50%. So if you are playing players below 2600, let's say 2500, you need to score, let's say 5 out of 9 or 5.5 out of 9 or 6 out of 9 based on the calculations. So Ramesh was in a must-win situation to get this GM norm, and it's always very high pressure situation because you need 3 norms to become a GM. So every time you miss a norm, it means your entire tournament is gone. You have to go to the next event and then try it again. So being so close and playing with white pieces, was Abhijit Kunte already a GM back then?
Yeah, himself, Hari Krishna, Ganguly, Sashi Kiran, these were the other team members, and Barua, Dipendra Barua. So these were the other team members, and all of them were GMs. I was an international master. I started playing chess pretty late, at the age of 12. Even Vishwanathan Anand started at the age of 6. Okay, compared to Vaibhav and Biswa, Biswa is like smiling. What? Well, young. Okay, I can understand. So
Biswa has a secret aim. He said to become GM at the age of 60. He said,
yeah, oldest GM in the world. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm really happy to see that you're taking this initiative and so much effort, not just doing it casually, to keep doing this on a day-to-day basis. It shows a fantastic commitment. Really happy about it. Yeah. So all of those players were grandmasters already, and it was also kind of putting some pressure on me because I was the lone IM among the Indian team, so I wanted to get the title achieved, done with as soon as possible. So I was kind of desperate to make a norm here, and I had generally had good results against Abhijit, but it doesn't mean that I am a better player than him. It usually happens in chess that against some players you usually do well, and sometimes it happens like against weaker players than yourself, you could have terrible results. So it doesn't mean much. It's just some psychology, perhaps.
Okay. So you opened this game with 1 e4, and Abhijit, like always, he played the Sicilian. He's like always Sicilian player.
He tries to. Generally, he tries to. I have seen him from very young age. When I was playing my first tournament, it was National Under 12 Championship. That was my first tournament. And I read in the newspaper that it was being organized at the Chennai IIT Madras. And I read it in the newspaper the same morning, around 6:30 in the morning. And I asked my father, can I play this tournament, paying donor fee? And he said yes. So that's how I came to chess. It was an instant decision. And the top seed in the tournament was Abhijit Kunte.
Okay.
And he went on to win the tournament as well. So in my first tournament, he was winning the title. So we go long back together. He's my good friend. And his style evolved in a very peculiar manner. Initially, he was kind of slightly aggressive and bit positional, but after he started qualifying, after he qualified for the Indian team in the Chess Olympiad, he was working with the grandmasters like Evgeny Vladimirov, and then at that point I could see that his style was evolving, and his results was also getting better, just like Hari Krishna, who jumped from 2400 to 2580 or so in just 1 year after working with Vladimirov. So I was just curious, like what happened to these two, how their strength improved phenomenally in very short time. And I could see that they both have been working a lot on endgame skills. So endgames. And back then, we did not know ABC of endgames. So even the basic rook and pawn things we did not know, even though we were all like international masters or grandmasters, our endgame skills were probably what an 1800 today would know. So it was so poor, but we still were having pretty decent results. And only after Evgeny's influence over the Indian team, we understood the importance of working on endgames as well. So I started working on my endgame skills probably when I was like 19 or 20-year-old. So
Wow.
pretty late by today's standards. And that is one of the reasons why I try to teach my students to work on endgames at a very young age. I feel that lets you appreciate the value of each piece. You understand the value of each piece when you work on endgames because there are so few pieces left and you can see their full power and full glory. So yeah, that's how it started between my rivalry with Kunte. And then he became a GM at Calcutta Open, I think. And within a few days, Sashikiran became a Grandmaster as well in the Commonwealth Championship that followed immediately after the Goodrick. So they both became Grandmasters back to back. And it put tremendous pressure on that generation of players. And then very quickly, Ganguly, Sandeepan Chanda, they became Grandmasters. So I was the one left out. And this game was very important from that context.
Yeah.
So he was playing Sicilian and he likes to take his opponents out of theory as quickly as possible from the opening. So you'll always find some clever move orders to do this. Yeah, I always preferred open Sicilian.
You always played sort of the main lines, so you.
Yeah, I was a very principled player. Back then, it was not considered to be good professional approach if you are playing sidelines. So if you play sidelines, people thought you are not a serious chess player. I remember once Kasparov lost against Akopian, I guess, in a sideline, and also against Swidler. When the both of them played irregular lines against Kasparov's Sicilian Idolf. And then both games Kasparov lost, and he said, like, if I start preparing e4, c5, b3, or e4, c5, knight c3, I would never have become a world champion. He passed some comment, something like this. So we were also scared to play sidelines, you could say. And Abhijit was one of the first to break this ice in the Indian field.
And now we see Carlsen doing it over and over again. He keeps playing sidelines every.
Now playing main lines is not.
It's not the... So actually, world champions sort of make the trends, and then it trickles down to the players below them that they follow what the world champions do. But actually, that's not true, yeah, because it works at their level may not work at some other levels.
What works at one level, not necessarily have to work for others.
Yeah, so knight c6, knight c3, queen c7. This is the Sicilian Taimanov. And after bishop e3, which is the most aggressive setup against the Sicilian Taimanov, black went a6. So guys, the first question already is here. You are playing with the white pieces. You are in Ramesh's shoes. What do you play here as white? It's just so that you can ease into the game. So this is the first question. Nothing spectacular or out of the world. But just to let you know that I think there are two main kinds of Sicilian. One where you push d6 and the other one where you push e6. So here we are talking more in the terms of where e6 setups are being played. And so what would white play? Your time starts now. I'll give it 3 minutes here. Let's begin. By the way, Ramesh, while they think, there is a question for you by Ishdeep Sohani, who says, what rating is the right time to start blindfold?
I wouldn't consider working blindfold as important. But I don't know, like in the last few years, I'm getting this question very often. Even in social media, I could see like people are talking about when I should learn by blindfold and so on. I feel it is not necessary at all that you have to learn to play blindfolded games. It's not mandatory, but it is useful. I think people are misunderstanding one very important aspect. Like generally, I've seen a lot of players have trouble calculating. Probably like Biswa and Weibo should maybe reduce the volume so they don't get disturbed by what we talk.
No, it's okay. We're used to this.
So maybe you can mute us. Or,
no, don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Fine.
Yeah, when it will be like intense calculations, I will not disturb them.
No, we can just take out a headphone.
Yeah, you can take out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So guys, if it gets disturbing for you, you can take it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I noticed is like people who are training on their own or working with coaches, including myself and was a player, we gave importance to few aspects of training, and we ignored few other aspects. And one of the things is like we all understood the importance of calculating well, but we did not know like how to improve our calculation skills. And calculation skills is one of the basic requirements to be a good chess player. It is something like you need to know addition, subtraction, multiplication, division to be good at maths. And then only you can learn other stuff like calculus or algebra and so on. So basic calculation is very important. And the calculation means it is just the ability to see ahead. Like you see whites move and then you try to find out reply for black and then find an appropriate reply for white, black, and so on. So this is basically the calculation skill, and how to improve in this area. There are many books written on this subject, many DVDs has been made, but I feel one key element that has been missing and very basic thing is the visualization skills. So it is like if I cannot see something, I cannot really make decisions, especially in chess. For example, like I keep my hand like this. Now I cannot see what is behind my hand. So I cannot really make a guess on, I cannot take a decision on what is hidden away from my eyes. So when we think in chess, usually some things till some point we will be able to see, like we will be able to visualize. But beyond that point, it becomes very blurred and we don't know where the pieces and pawns are and so on. And once we reach that point, it is like, that is where we should ideally stop our analysis because things are not clear, we're not able to see the position, we simply have to take a decision. And if we are able to push that limit, if we can see much ahead, then we can analyze more deeply into the position. So this visualization skill. I mean, most of the books written on calculation topic, they rarely talk about this. They talk about candidate moves, they talk about the elimination process and so on, tree of analysis and all that, but rarely this skill is given importance. And they have also not gone into like how one can improve their visualization skills. So that is also pretty important, I guess. So they're going to give their answer now?
Yes. So,
Okay.
guys, have you thought about your answer? What is it? By the way, thank you, so Ramesh, for the answer. I think that answers the question of Ishtip. What's your move, Weibo? Let's begin with Weibo.
Vaibhav can't hear you.
Weibo is mute, yeah.
Sorry. I want to play bishop d3.
Bishop to d3 is what Weibo wants to play. And Biswa?
I have 3 moves, but I'll go with the one that I would play. I would play bishop e2.
Bishop e2. Okay, so bishop e2 is a standard move in these positions, and they could play. Normally, they play knight f6 here, and we play castle. Now, black has 2 options. One, he can play bishop e7. That will be Shevanian, and this is what Abhijit Kunte usually does. He likes to play the Shevanian position with black pieces. And they play f4 d6, and this is the starting point in Shevanian. White plays f4, black plays d6 to stop e5.
The other move I was thinking was queen d2 actually.
Queen d2, yeah. So queen d2 is what I played in this game. It's the English setup. And in English setup, for against most Sicilians, they play bishop e3, queen d2. They try to go f3, g4 and launch an attack on the king side after you long castle. And recently, the move queen f3 has become very popular. And I guess this was introduced by Deepsen Gupta, if I'm not mistaken. And then it became very popular. Many top players play this move queen f3.
Wow.
And the idea is sometimes like Sagar mentioned, you could go queen g3, trade the queens and play on the dark squares. Now, if you see the structure, a6, b7, e6, d7, f7. So all the pawns are on white squares. And in this Taimano and also in Paulson Kahn variation with e6, a6 structures, usually black delays playing d6. They don't play d6 move very quickly. They delay it till it is very necessary. So in that case, white's one of the main strategic aims should be to push e5, to get e5 and gain good control on the dark squares. So generally the battle is for that and also for control over the dark squares. If white manages to get good control over the dark squares, he'll usually be better. Yeah, so queen of 3, bishop e2 and queen d2 is possible. And one drawback of bishop d3, I would say, is he could start with knight of 6 and then after castle, let's say, there is an option knight d4, bishop d4 and bishop c5. And if I do this without knight of 6, I will lose bishop g7 pawn. That is why I play knight of 6 first. So this is one possibility. And after bishop c5, queen c5, black is very close to equality.
But isn't this also possible when the bishop is on e2? Let's say bishop e2, knight f6, castles, and then you take.
For knight d4, I could take queen d4.
Here you can take the queen. So the bishop being on d3, and now he can't go bishop c5.
Yeah. So that's the difference.
Okay.
So if you see, yeah, Weibo.
I was asking, is a3 a decent move here or is it too slow?
Which move?
a3.
Yeah, a3, it is possible to play. And if they play like knight of 6, bishop e2, castle, bishop e7, it will transpose to Scavenian, where eventually black will play b5. And in that case, a3 is justified. But in general, we should not play such moves. In general, I'm saying. There will be exceptions, of course. But in general, we don't play moves which can be avoided, especially in the opening phase. In the opening phase, the priority is always quick development. And most players know this, that quick development is necessary. But when it comes to their games, when they have to take decision, usually they delay quick development for various reasons. They justify it by giving various reasons. So one such justification will be like a3. So it's really not necessary. You don't have to worry about the move bishop b4. Even if he plays bishop b4, bishop c3, bc3 double pawns, you will still have better dark squares control. Without his black color bishop, it will favor white.
Yeah.
So,
I have one simple question. If we play queen d2, then our idea is to castle queen side, right?
yes. If you play d2, we go long castle.
What I found a little scary about this was the c file was semi-open for him, and the queen is already there.
Yeah.
So he'll have good attacking chances. So isn't it better to castle king side?
Oh, it is like if someone joins the army, right? So you'll be given a gun, bullets, right? And so why do we do this? And bulletproof jacket. So we know there is risk, right? So we don't people don't join an army to feel very safe. So they understand the risk. So in any sport, some risk will always be there. But at least in chess, it is not physical risk. So we should just learn to increase our threshold for taking risk. That is usually a good thing. Because usually at the lower level, what happens, we are not feeling very confident about our current strength and we want to grow. And as a result, what could happen is like we could become defensive. So we start playing not to lose. We try to keep everything safe, everything under control. And this way we start taking less risk. We try to avoid complicated positions. So these things can become our second nature if you are not careful. So it is always, so whenever you feel you are avoiding risk or you are avoiding complications, then you should realize this is not a good way to go. So whenever you feel that way, just force yourself to take some risk. And even if it goes against you, it's fine. Because that ability to take risk is more important than winning or losing in one particular game.
Nice. That was nicely said. And I guess after queen d2, long castle, white quickly gets some pressure down the d file. So there are certain upsides, yeah, of long castling.
Yeah, even though the C file is open, like if you see all the black pieces are not developed, right? So he has to do two things. One, either complete development, in which case he is not going to attack us in the near future, or he can start an attack, in which case he will not be able to complete his development. So
Okay, cool. So Vaibhav's move bishop d3, does he get half a point or anything for that?
yeah, I think bishop d3 is developing pieces. So I think any decent developing move, I wouldn't be critical about it.
Okay,
So
so half a
definitely-
point. And Biswa's bishop e2,
Yeah, also
also half a point.
that was his first choice, right?
Yes, he wanted to
Yeah.
go bishop e2 and short castle. But
No, see, both moves I can give full point if I mean I don't know how the point system works.
the point system is basically, if you think the move is good, then you can give 1. If you think the move makes sense but is not up to the mark, but you still think okay, it's a decent move, you can give half a point. And if it
Okay,
is completely wrong, then 0.
Fine. Okay, so I would give 1 point for
Both get 1 point. Okay, so that is 1 to both of them. Ramesh went queen d2 here, knight f6, and now long castle was played by him, and black immediately went after this key bishop in this position with knight g4. And here comes your second question, guys. What would you play here as white? Because that is an important piece in the Sicilian, the dark squared bishop. Okay, I'm going to start the timer. So right now, both of them on 1 point each. Actually, knight g4 is not a very common move, yes, in the opening, this position. Or
Yeah, so for me, like what is good about chess, what I enjoy so much about chess is like we try to understand everything at the deepest possible level. Then that is when chess becomes very interesting. So, how to see knight g4 objectively? One is trying to, like I said, in these structures, because all the black pawns are on white squares, there is a fight for control of dark squares, especially from white's viewpoint. He would try to take as much control of the dark squares as possible. In that is why black is taking a huge risk, because the knight f6 was already developed, and he is trying to move the piece which is already developed and trying to win the bishop. So there is a compromise already he is willing to make. He is willing to lose time by playing knight f6, knight g4. He is losing time, and with the hope that he will be able to exchange the knight for the bishop and lessen our grip on the dark squares.
Yeah. So that's black's idea, that if white loses this bishop, then his control on the dark squares would become sort of absolute, and white won't be able to take advantage of that. By the way, we have one more question, which is doing move after chess at present, where the board position is one move behind and behind the real game position. This is what he's doing, that if there is a position like here knight g4, on the board it is knight f6 only, and he's trying to visualize. So move after position, what is the most effective visualization drill that is asked?
Okay, Sagar, just give me 1 minute.
Sure, sure. Please take it. Oops.
Arey, Sahil, what I was saying.
अरे अरे एक मिनट, ये इधर ये आया नहीं, एक सेकेंड. Zoom.
Yeah, I think you put up the.
Yeah, just a second. I'll just fix it.
Yes,
Sorry for that. Oops.
I can't believe after so many days, months of chess, I think, Arey, you put that game card. I think I would call it game notations, is it?
Yeah, the game notations. Yes, that's the thing. The entire game. I was just trying to get you guys, because I don't want to fix it all over again. So I was just getting normal Zoom here. Yeah, Vaibhav, what were you saying? Oh.
I can't believe I was so stuck. For any one of you watching, please go watch. I'm not Sagar Shah on Sahil Shah's chat. I went to Sahil Shah's stream and I got,
But
I think 4 or 5 times at least, I called him Sagar.
it was flattering. Yeah, Vaibhav, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so just changing places here. Yeah.
So me and my son are like home alone. So if someone rings the bell, we have to.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. So, Biswa, what's your move here for white?
Bishop e2.
Bishop e2. Okay. Vaibhav?
Bishop g5.
Bishop to g5. Okay. So one move bishop g5 and one bishop e2. Ramesh, what?
Yeah, so Biswa, what about bishop e2, knight e3? What did you have in mind?
Queen takes.
The bishop c5. Probably you missed this, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So here we
Didn't
have some
calculate
problems,
this.
right? We are not able to move. And thing is like, if you go like knight b5 here or knight e6, the problem is bishop e3 is a check. Otherwise, this works fine. But unfortunately, it's a check, so it doesn't work. So then you will be forced to take bishop knight e3, fe3. But if that was not your intention, then bishop e2 is not good, right? If you are forced to take
Yeah.
fe3, then bishop e2 doesn't make much of a sense. So I think bishop e2. Okay, in a way, it is good that you are trying to develop as quickly as possible. But there is one other logic. It is like when our opponent is taking risk, and knight g4 is definitely a risky move because he is losing time. He has like 5 undeveloped pieces, king, 2 rooks, and 2 bishops, and he is moving some other piece which is already developed. So when your opponent takes such risk, it is very important we respond by taking risk. Okay, so usually what happens, like we try to play safe and reach a better position. Instead, the better approach would be whenever your opponent takes risk, you should also take risk. That is the right approach. Okay, fine. And
So how do we define risk? Is if the opponent, let's say, wastes time in the opening or moves the same piece again, or makes a lot of pawn moves and creates weaknesses, that means he's taking risk.
Yeah, so in the opening, there are few things that need to be done, and there are few things that should not be done. So both we should know. They're all very basic things, not very difficult to learn. So what are the things we should do in the opening? We should develop pieces quickly. Now, when we say quickly, generally what happens, it's like we all know doing exercise is good for health, right? It's a general knowledge, everyone knows, but it does not mean everyone does exercise, right? Only very few do who are very health conscious, they do exercise, the rest don't. But the rest also know that doing exercise is good. And all these chess principles are like this. Most chess players know all the chess principles, but it does not mean they can apply them in practice. Okay, so it is very important when we are developing, when you are learning the game, that we ruthlessly try to apply the principles in our game, and that is the best way to understand its importance, significance. So it is like, don't tell lies. I cannot tell lies and say I know the principle, I should not tell lies. So only when we apply something we know, we really understand its strength and its value. So whenever the one thing, develop pieces quickly. So I would say develop pieces before 15 moves, all 8 pieces, ideally. So you should have a target like this. Then you will understand it's like 100 meters. So not 500 meters. Development. So you have to develop very rapidly. And whichever thing that delays development, we should hesitate a lot. So knight g4 prevents delays development for black. So he is breaking this principle. Don't move the same piece multiple times, and develop quickly. He's breaking both the principles. So here it is clear he has broken the principle. Now, the best way to punish him is by breaking principles ourselves. We should also break the principle. So he's moving pieces twice, so we can do it. Nothing wrong. Okay?
Okay.
Fine. So Weibo's move was
Bishop g5.
Bishop g5. So I appreciate the thinking because he does not want to give up the bishop, dark colored bishop, because there is a fight for dark colors going on. So in that sense, I would appreciate this move. So I would give half a point for this move.
Okay.
And for bishop e2, no. Because conceptually it is not correct.
Correct. Okay. So
Okay.
the move that Ramesh played in the game was bishop to f4. Guys, did you consider this move?
Yeah, but then e5.
Yeah, that's what I was about to tell. So what happens is like we see some moves intuitively, and we intuitively reject them as well for some reason. And this is not good. We should try to go deeper in such situations. The problem with e5 is you are getting the d5 square control. Like you get better control on the d5 square, like you could go knight d5. Right? And it is not easy for him to save the queen. If he comes queen d6, I could go knight f5. Right? And I save my piece, and also I get 2 fantastic outposts for my knights. So he should go back, queen d8.
Yeah, now actually there is a kind of a fork here. Maybe knight takes c6 is one idea, but then after d takes c6, it attacks this as well as the bishop.
Yeah. So probably that doesn't have to be played.
Yeah.
So what would you suggest here?
Instead of knight d5?
Oh, 95 queen d8. Now you could go like
Okay.
bishop g5 here.
Still attacking, and maybe f6 seems like the most critical move, because now again this is hanging and so is this hanging. And if we were to save knights,
So in such situations, you can always go for sacrifices. So let's go back and see where we can find the improvement.
I was thinking, can we do like knight takes, pawn takes, and play f3? Is that no? Then he just takes on f4, and then he takes on d5. No, that's too much.
No, I think knight c6 should never be taken. I remember somewhere h3 will come. Yeah, so maybe
h3 here.
h3 here.
Ah,
yeah, he can take both the pieces. So if he's taking ef4, hg4, then we just got the open file.
Yeah,
and the
this
knight
is strong. And
fantastic.
this is...
So we got the f1 is weak, h file is open as well. So this is bad. And we should, if he takes the other knight, let's say knight d4, we could go hg4. and if ef4, queen d4. So again, we weaken the piece, and white is doing very well.
But
so e5 is
if
very
knight
risky.
f6 back,
so I can see few options. One is I can take
maybe now take.
multiple options.
Take.
Knight f6, queen f6, knight c6. Or I could start with here bishop g5.
Yeah, here bishop
Queen
g5
f6,
is
g5.
winning. I
And
mean,
then,
then your piece will be saved. Yeah.
We get knight f5 also.
Yeah.
And if he takes with gf, then we can take knight c6. He cannot take d6. So he has to take with this, and this structure is gone. Now we save all the pieces. Bishop c4 will come, followed by f4.
Yeah. So basically, bishop f4 is a very is saving our bishop. So it's like a positional decision, but has to be justified tactically with lot of calculations. Only then you will be able to make a move like this.
Yeah.
And this is very important because this move, like I said, involves some risk for white as well. So you have to calculate the consequences correctly before you play such moves. And generally what happens, like he was mentioning, he was not happy, like Biswa was not happy with e5. So when we see some risky continuations, people who don't like to take risk, they simply reject them. And this will become a habit. So we have to fight this habit by forcing ourselves to take risks. Okay. So I think he played knight g5. Right?
Yeah, he went knight g5 in the game. He didn't play e5. And now you went bishop to g3.
Very important move. Can someone tell me why? Biswa or Vaibhav? Why I played bishop g3? Because I'm losing time, right? Why should I move my bishop? Why can't I play like bishop e2 or something?
Because now queen can go to g5 and stop him from castling.
Okay, but there was actually a threat. Yeah, Vaibhav, you have muted. You have muted yourself. Vaibhav, you have to unmute.
I'm sorry. Knight comes to c4 and it goes away from the diagonal where the queen will finally attack. Oh, no, it can't go to there because the queen.
No, the bishop is on f1.
Yeah.
So let's say if I play bishop e2, how about the audience?
Yeah. If bishop e2, guys, what do you play here as black? What was black's threat actually in that position?
Ayush has given the correct move. So he will take knight d4, queen d4, and knight d3 check. So we'll use our dark color bishop.
Check, and then this is hanging. So you take this, and then he takes with the queen with a check, and yeah, we lose the important bishop.
Yeah. So this is the threat black had by playing knight g5. So the lesson to be learned is, so this is called prophylactic thinking. So after every opponent move, we just have to spend some time asking ourselves what he is going to do next. So, and if we do it seriously, it becomes a habit, and we also spot these kind of traps. Always, like in such a critical game, I fall into this kind of trap, it will spoil all the chances, right? So bishop g3 is useful that way. Now it stops that 94, 24, 93, and it also paves way for advancing my f pawn. So I could push f4 on the next one.
So he took, queen takes, and he defended his knight in the center with f6. Now Ramesh continued with f4 going forward. Abhijit attacked the queen with bishop c5.
He offered a draw here.
He offered a draw.
Yeah.
Were you tempted or no? No, you had to win to make a GM now.
If it was a normal game, maybe I would consider it, but here it is like a must-win situation, so that's really no question of considering it seriously. So the other continuation was queen a4. I was considering that as well during the game, and he could just go back knight c6.
But
because b5 I could just take on b5.
Yeah, b5 doesn't come because after knight takes b5 or bishop takes b5, there is rook on a8 hanging. So therefore, in the game, you didn't go queen a4, you went queen d2, knight f7. And now, guys, is your third question for today. What should white do here? It's already heating up now. If you see, the black king is still in the center. So you need
So for bishop g5, Weibo was getting half points.
Yes, I'll add that. And Ramesh, you can give them hints if you think that there are any hints that they can think in this position. You can always give that.
Yeah, so generally there is something called initiative. Initiative means when you start attacking and your opponent starts defending. So in the previous move, if you see, white played f4, we attacked the knight, and he played knight f7, which is a defensive move. So whenever in the game this attack defense sequence starts, then it is very important we don't play a normal move. Okay, we have to keep the threads going. So it is like you hit a 4 and you want to hit a 4 again, something like that. In cricket, it is not generally a good advice. It's okay to settle down for a single or something. But in chess, when you're playing for initiative, when you give a threat and opponent responds with defense, you should keep giving threats. Otherwise, you will lose the initiative if you play a quiet move.
Yeah. Okay, a lot of people in the chat have the right answer. That's very interesting. By the way, thank you so much, B-Stats, for your raid and for sending more people here to watch. Okay. It's very interesting what Ramesh said right now is that once the sort of an attack begins, you have to keep up the momentum, and it's very important. So let's say if you're going to make a move, a developing move here, perhaps that might not be the best idea. It's a good hint for Biswa and Vaibhav here.
And Praggnanandhaa is usually very good at this. If you give a hint, you immediately get the right.
He always asks for hints, yes?
Yeah. So if there is rook a d1 or rook h d1, you will say rook d1. Very non-committal.
Okay, guys, last 25 seconds. Try to think what would you do here. By the way, when you left, there was one question, but I will ask you when they are thinking on the next move. That question. So okay. So time is up, guys. So let's begin with Vaibhav. This time, Vaibhav, what's your suggestion?
F5.
Okay, F5 is what Vaibhav thinks, and Biswa?
Yeah, F5.
Both of them said F5, and big congratulations to both of you. This is the move that Ramesh played in the game as well. Fantastic.
And now I got the game in my database. I was just shifting my computer and databases. Okay, I could find the game now. So I remember the analysis. Okay. So yeah, F5 is very important because we don't lose the momentum. But the drawback of this move is we lose control over the E5 square, right? So we lose control over the E5 square. This is the price we have to pay. And this is very important thing to learn in chess because most players, till they reach a very healthy level, they are adverse to taking risk. And what they do, they try to just play moves where they gain something or something that maintains equilibrium, but they never choose moves where they have to pay a price to get something. It's always like they try to take, but it is very important to learn to give and take. This mindset, it is very important to cultivate when you're young. So you cannot have everything. Now the question is what we give and what we get. So that comparison we should be able to make, and we should give things if what we are getting in return is better than what we give. So this compromise we should always be ready to do.
Right. So in the game, Abhijit did not push his pawn to e5, nor did he get his knight here. He played queen c6, moving the queen. And time for your fourth question of the day. And maybe, Ramesh, if there's any hint that you would like to give, because I think it's, again,
I think it is the same.
the hint is the same.
When you have the initiative, don't lose it.
Nice. So you played f5, you made his queen move. Now again, it's your turn. You hit a boundary on the last move. Can you continue your attack? Can you keep
It's
going?
like De Villiers. 6 should be followed by 6.
Okay.
So someone was asking, what do I mean by initiative? Initiative is like when you give threat and your opponent is responding with a defensive move, then we get the initiative. Just imagine if you're playing soccer, football game, and one team has the ball in their possession. So only they have a chance to score a goal, right? If the other side has to score a goal, they have to fight for the ball, get it under their control, and then only they can consider scoring goals. So initiative is like possessing the ball in our hand, something like this. So it is us who should be the one who is giving threats, make our opponent defensive. So whenever he plays a defensive move, try to put him on the defensive even more. And if you have to pay a price for that, you should be ready to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
I wonder why he didn't go knight e.
Yeah, that's a good question actually.
Yeah, knight e5 is possible, but he will just lose some time. And I think like if I play f6, bishop e5, or yeah, now he cannot take with the queen because I have queen d8 check. So he'll be forced to take with the pawn. And you could see he's already made some compromise with the pawn structure, and the bishop c8 will not be happy either. So from here, white should stop playing for an attack. He should become more positional. And after this e6 and a6 pawns, my knight on c3 is not very active. It will become very passive. So ideally, I should try to find a better square for my knight, maybe knight on f3 or something. Eventually, I should try to take my knight to some place like this. So the time being, now this phase, white will have a long-term advantage because of better pawn structure. And for all practical purposes, white is having an extra pawn. If I can go to an end game, I will have 3 versus 2. So I'm basically having an extra pawn kind of situation here. So I would stop my aims to go launch an attack. Instead, I will settle for playing positionally.
Yeah.
So just move the king to b1, develop the bishop, bring the rook, and then get the knight away from c3.
Sagar, can you show the original position and give us 1 minute, please?
Sure. I will give extra time. Sorry for that.
No problem, brother.
Yeah, let's start. So queen c6, knight e5 was very interesting. I think e5 was also possible, but it would have shut down a lot of his pieces and made them passive. So queen c6 was Abhijit's try, and now he's still staying flexible. He's keeping his options open. I want to tell the viewers that after Ramesh won the British Championship this year in 2002, yes, this was held, and then Kunte won in 2003. They stopped Indians from playing this tournament, and they were like, now no more Indians allowed, and they kept it for their, I think, UK only, the tournament.
Yeah, so when I won the tournament, like even the last, from the second round onwards, like we could sense that the British players, they were not very happy with the fact that so many Indian players were playing. And in the women team as well, we had Hampi, Harika, and others playing for India. And the players were very angry that the British Federation has let Indian players to participate because we had such a strong team, and we could sense some kind of hostility from the players. And after I won the tournament, I don't think a single British player congratulated me.
Oh, that was hostile, but okay. I mean, you won it. By the way, guys, your time is up. What about your move? Let's go with Biswa.
Okay, I haven't calculated everything, but I've learned to take risk. I'm going to take risk.
Okay.
It's E5.
Okay, Vaibhav.
F captures e6.
F takes E6 is Vaibhav's move, and E5 is Biswa's move. Ramesh, which one would you give how many points?
Vaibhav, F6, if I take with the pawn, B6, what you wanted to do?
I mean, not much. I just felt like this is probably the only thing moving forward because
Okay,
so for the lack of a better move.
Okay, fine. So after F6, D6, let us see what is happening. So I will tell few things. Generally, there are some moves which are very big decisions. And which are such moves? One, every pawn move is a big decision. So we should do it responsibly. And the other thing is exchanges. Whenever you are exchanging a pawn or a piece, it is a big decision because it changes the nature of the character of the position a lot significantly. So pawn moves and exchanges, just be careful before we do that. And whenever you consider an exchange like F6, D6, so we should simply see what are we gaining, what are we giving. Okay, so let us see. By taking F6, D6, did white gain anything? Can you say, I got this file or diagonal or square?
I just felt like, I had no justification for what I thought. It's just that I felt like the F pawn is not a central pawn, and I'm capturing a central pawn. So I'm like, maybe that's
okay. So what I'm trying to do here is like trying to help you like to take such decisions in a better way. So my question is like, does white gain anything by playing F6? So you could say after D6, I'm getting control of the D file, right? So you could say that is a justification. I'm getting D file control, so that's why I took F6, D6. But by gaining control temporarily, are we able to exploit it to our advantage? All the important squares like D7 and D8 are under black's control, right? And once he plays castle, and he could play rook D8, and we cannot say we have control over the D file anymore, right? So that is not a good enough justification to take F6. And we are not getting any outpost, diagonal, or file, or a weak pawn. So we are not gaining much by this exchange. And let us see the other important question, which is, does black gain anything by this exchange? Did black gain anything by F6, D6? What do you think?
He can castle peacefully now, and his position is...
No, even before F6, D6, he could castle. He was already threatening to play castle. But after F6, D6, he could play rook D8, and he gets control. He can activate his rook. With the pawn on D7, if he plays rook D8, it won't make much sense, isn't it? But without the pawn on D7, he plays rook D8, it makes a lot of sense. So we are basically enabling his rooks to become active on the D file. That is one. The second, how would bishop C8 feel with the pawn on D7 and without the pawn on D7? So with the pawn on D7, the bishop will feel worse, right? By taking F6, D6, we are giving some hope for the bishop, isn't it? So you can see what white gained and what black gained. You could clearly see black gained more from this exchange, right? One, the D file, and also the bishop C8 becomes more free, right? So this exchange should be avoided. So this is how you should always think in the future whenever you are trying to exchange stuff. See who gains more from the exchange. If you gain, go for it.
I have one question. Do you also lose the initiative here?
Yeah, you have to. Now, let me tell the difference between initiative and attack. Sagar, do we have time or we should?
Yes, we have.
Fast? That's not an issue. Okay. So let me just tell the difference between initiative and attack. Okay. Attack also, it is something very similar, right? And it is very easy to confuse between attack and initiative. For attack, the first requirement is presence of weakness. Okay, you cannot attack something which is stronger than you. For example, I cannot with my hand hit the wall and say I'm attacking the wall, right? Even though I'm beating the wall, I cannot claim it to be an attack because my hand is significantly weaker than the wall. So you don't attack something that is stronger than you. You only attack that is something weaker than you. So the first requirement is presence of weakness when you want to attack. And when there is no weakness, there's no question of attack. And even if you attack prematurely, it most likely won't work in your favor. The second thing is you don't have to attack very quickly all the time. You have to attack very quickly only if the opponent is also attacking. So it is like he's attacking you on one side, you are attacking him on the other side. Then it's a question of who is quick and effective. But if you are the only person who is attacking, then the question of speed is not so relevant. You can attack slowly and peacefully. Okay. Now, initiative is there is no need for a weakness to be present to play for initiative, to start giving threats. There is no requirement for a weakness to be present. So then when we should play for initiative? Whenever you feel your opponent has broken some principles, whenever he does something unusual, okay, or whenever you suspect he has made a mistake, immediately you should play for a initiative, that is start giving threats, even when there is no weakness. You still give threats. And this attack is usually long term. Like if you are attacking on the king side, it is not going to disappear in 1 or 2 moves. It is going to be long term. Attack is long term. But initiative is short term. Initiative is like a wave. It won't be like there all the time. It will immediately come down. Okay, so the initiative is very short term. So speed is the key. Okay, you will have the initiative only for 3-4 moves at best, and then the initiative will disappear. Okay, in those 3-4 moves, we have to continuously give some threats, take some risk, and then the initiative will stop after 3-4 moves. And when it stops, ideally you should have gained something. You could have got some outpost or a diagonal or a file or an attack or a weak pawn in opponent position or a 2 bishop advantage, something like that. Something concrete you should have gained. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen? You took some risk to play for initiative and then it backfired. Okay. So fe6, I would not give any marks. For e5, I would give 1.
e5, well done, Biswa. This was the move that was played in the game by Ramesh. And
that is also simple logic, right? When the king in the center, what we are supposed to do? We are supposed to open up the position to attack. In that sense, Vaibhav's move made sense because he was also opening the position. But like I said, we are losing more than gaining in the bargain.
Yeah. So e5 was played. And here, Abhijit, by the way, Ramesh, it was amazing explanation. Everyone in the chat was like, great explanation. Even as a beginner, I am able to understand everything that is being said. You know, that's what was the emotion in the chat. So after FE, DE. By the way, could he have taken here with the queen?
And then we go knight d5 and bishop c4. Knight d5 threat is knight c7 family fork. So he cannot castle. So he has to maybe again go back queen c6 or something. And then we can go bishop c4. So you could see like fantastic activity. And then rook h1.
Yeah. So he didn't take, he took with the pawn so that knight d5 is covered. Although the pawns look ugly, black is a pawn up and he's all ready to also castle very soon.
So Sagar, can we just go one move back? Yeah. And when he was saying fe6, one move back before e5. So let us just compare. Now fe6, de6. Here the difference is black could play e5 and open up the bishop. Black could go e5 later on and get the bishop out, right? So that gives him hope. But let us see what happened in the game. So after fe5, fe6, de6, now he cannot move the bishop out so easily. right? This is the difference. So now you see, so here the initiative has stopped, right? We are not able to play more forcing moves. Forcing moves are check, capture, threat. Usually that's what in all the books is written, check, capture, and threat. But I always tell my students to add pawn breaks as well. And this game is a good example. The moves F5 and E5, they were also very forcing. So now that the forcing moves are done, so how we can find out the forcing moves are over? Let us look for check. Can white give a check? No. Can white capture something? No. No good captures possible. And what about threats? Can you attack something?
No,
Not much. So pawn breaks? No. So we can quickly conclude there are no forcing moves available.
Yeah.
Right? So whenever forcing moves are not available, and it means like our initiative has fizzled out. It has stopped. Like the wave has landed already. Now the question is, has white gained anything or not? Okay, that is the question. Okay, so let us see.
So this is right now the fifth question, for them to think. Should they think right now, or would you like to explain this point to them?
Okay, so like I said, the initiative phase is over, right? So, and we have already got something. We have lost a pawn. White is a pawn down. But if you see, we have got control over the E4 square. Right? The E4 square is weak. And if any piece comes to that square, especially a minor piece, just imagine a bishop or a knight on that square. It will be fantastic, right? And you have got the D file temporarily. I use the word temporarily because you can always get rook d8 later on. But we have time till then. So the E4 square, the doubled pawns, and more importantly, he is not able to get the bishop c8 out so easily. Okay, so these are the concrete gains we have got, and more importantly, active pieces. Do you agree that white's pieces are more active? You can see the bishop g3 attacking, and look at knight f7. It is very passive and defensive. And the knight c3, he can now go to the e4 square. So the lesson that we can learn from this is, it is worthwhile to become a pawn down, to sacrifice a pawn, to make our pieces active. Okay, if you can make your pieces active by becoming a pawn down, please do so. Don't think you're a pawn down and worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I had one more question, sir.
Yeah.
So after FE in the initial position, after FE and DE.
Here?
FE.
Or your move FE.
Yeah. FE DE.
So why not play
and
E5?
now if you put E5, put E5.
Yeah.
If
So
he captures,
now,
we reach the same position, but he can push F5 also.
so this way he takes control over the e4 square. We don't gain the e4 square here.
Right.
And his pawn structure remains good. The next move is going to play castle.
Right.
And my knight c3, I'm not really happy.
Right.
And the bishop g3 also is blocked by the e5 pawn, right? The bishop g3 is blocked by our own pawn.
Right.
So here we are playing equal pawns, but our pieces are not active, right? The knight c3 and bishop g3, you can see they are not very active. But if you become a pawn down, both those pieces become very active. Okay. So I played bishop d3.
Oh no, they have to give the answer.
That was my answer.
Same really? Are you okay? I will of course believe.
I was thinking between C4 and D3. I was just trying to see, but then C4 wasn't making much sense.
Yeah.
Either we can give 1 point each, or we don't give 1 point.
No, we give bishop d3. They are always they are truthful. So bishop d3 is what they were thinking, and 1 point to both. And this is also what Ramesh played. Bishop c4, is it more? But because we want to control e4, maybe bishop d3 makes more sense, than c4.
Yeah. More than that, like I would say, I'm not really interested in the e6 pawn. Actually, I would prefer black to have the e6 pawn and lose it. If I am black, I would request my opponent to remove my e6 pawn so the bishop can come out. So as white, I wouldn't want to waste time in trying to win the e6 pawns. So that is really not And bishop
Should
d3 is
black
like
just-
you can launch an attack on the king side as well. Apart
Should
from
black just
e4.
should-
Yeah, Weibo.
Sorry, I was saying, shouldn't black just play e4 first?
Interesting.
No, if it is middle game, you should consider e4 very seriously. But this is opening. Okay. So opening, your priority should be development.
Yeah.
So most of us, we do things which we are supposed to do in the middle game in the opening. And this is something we should try to avoid.
I'm wondering what would black be thinking here. Like, I mean, black bishop has not come out. He really wants to take the c8 bishop out.
Yeah.
can't
So if
put
it's
it on-
like, he played bishop d4. Let's try to understand the move. So why did he play bishop d4? One, he is giving some protection to the e5 pawn. Two, he also has hopes of, he cannot play b5 because bishop e4 ideas can come. And he can play bishop d7 and long castle. That is the additional option he gets with bishop d4, right? He could play bd7, and if he fears a kingside attack, he could consider taking the king to the other side. That is the second possibility. And third possibility, now here we are going to ask a question, Sagar.
Yes.
Okay, then I would not want to tell
Yeah.
because I was almost about to play a move I would have regretted later.
Okay.
But I would,
So
I will
you can start thinking for your sixth point here, guys. What should white play? And once you have thought about it, Ramesh will explain you further as to what's happening. By the way, one question was, Ramesh, what is the best way of improving visualization? This was a question that was asked by Ishwit.
yeah. So I think this is where the question comes: how to play blindfold, or when I should play blindfold, right? So basically, they want to know how to improve their visualization skills because they understand that they are not able to see ahead clearly. Like the position becomes very unclear in their mind, so they're not able to find the moves. So to improve the visualization skills, simply when you are seeing games, try to see games without moving pieces to the extent possible. Like 2-3 moves ahead, try to see them without moving pieces. And when you're analyzing also, try to analyze without moving pieces. And if you do this sincerely, your visualization skills will improve. Get better.
Okay.
So start with easy positions and try to, while solving puzzles, you can do this all the time. Solve the puzzles without moving pieces. Start with easy positions. And once you are consistently getting easy positions correctly without mistakes, then you should go to next level of difficulty. And this way.
Okay. And Venkat Krishnan Sampath says, could you please explain the pros and cons for long castle for both white and black in general? It's a very general question, not for this position, but what are the pros and cons of short castle and long castle in general?
Okay, long castle generally is more common because it is easy to do. You only have to develop two pieces.
Short castle.
Only the short castle, you just have to develop the knight and bishop, and then you're ready to castle. But in case of long castle, you also have to develop the queen. And developing the queen is always involve some risk because queen is such a powerful piece, and if you develop it prematurely to a wrong square, then you will regret it later and lose more time moving it multiple times. So that's a big decision to develop the queen so early. So people generally try to wait by developing the minor pieces, castle short, and by then you will have better clarity and you can take a informed decision where to develop the queen. So that is one reason why casting short is more common. But if things are more clearer in the early stages, and if you can find good squares for the queen, like in this case queen b2 or queen f3, then you could go for long castle as well.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, time up, guys. What's your move? Let's start with Vaibhav. What's your move?
Kind of a decent move, but then knight e4.
Knight e4. Okay. Biswa?
Bishop e1.
Bishop e1 and knight
Okay.
e4.
Okay, so these are very instructive. So I almost played knight e4 in the game, but knight e4 is a mistake. Can someone tell me why?
Wow. Okay. Knight e4 is a. Ooh. Wow. Okay. Guys, knight e4. What's the problem here? It's a very interesting.
Bishop takes on b2 something.
Teju, Weddington, Rahul, got it.
Yes. Guys, the hint is double attack.
Is it queen b6?
What are the two threats with queen b6?
Oh.
Pawn on b2 is attacked twice.
I get it. So I think first queen captures knight on e4, and then when bishop captures, then bishop captures on b2. When king captures, then
No, I think you made some mistake.
yeah.
सारे pieces ही दे दिए. You gave up all both your active pieces.
Oh man.
Some lapse in concept.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So you will play queen b6, and this is the problem. So you attack b2 and bishop e3.
This is a also.
Oh, bishop e3. Wow.
Yeah. So I simply forgot about this. And there are a few important principles that we can learn from this. Okay, one is whenever there is an outpost. So I usually tell my students, go near the outpost, but don't put your piece in the outpost. You just be ready, well set, and at the right time, you go to occupy the outpost. Okay, so the knight is already very close to the e4 square, but knight should go to e4 only at the right moment, not too early. That is one. The second thing is the drawback principle. So whenever we see a move, we see the ideas of that move, but we usually don't see what is wrong with our move. We only see the good side of our move, and we ignore, if something is bad with our move, we usually ignore that. Okay, so the drawback is we are opening the diagonal bd4 on b2 diagonal. So knight c3 was blocking the diagonal, but now it is open, right? So luckily, I remember the drawback principle. I checked it just before playing it. I understood. And this is a very difficult moment because you are banking on a move and then you suddenly realize at the last minute it is not working in your favor. And it is very easy to get upset and then become negative. But it's very important you compose yourself, regain your calmness, and start thinking fresh. This quality is very important. We should not let our emotions to disturb our thought process. Now, I feel like Vaibhav is feeling under some pressure, if I'm not mistaken. So just relax, calm down, just forgive yourself, start fresh.
I'm okay.
Yeah. So 94 is a mistake. So when I realized 94 is a mistake, okay, so Biswa was saying bishop e1. It is understandable from some sense because he was worried about getting doubled pawns after bishop c3. So he's saying like, if bishop c3, queen c3, queen c3, bishop c3, I won't have the doubled pawns. This is the logic, I guess. But generally, what I would suggest, don't play passively. Okay? So in Biswa's case, what I can see, generally, people who try to be very safe, who try not to lose games, okay, who don't like losing games, then they will try to play very safe. And when they do this, they will make three common mistakes. One, they will start exchanging blindly and believing like by exchanging, the risk is reduced. The risk of losing the game is reduced. We can go to an endgame, make a draw, something like this. So people who don't want to lose games, and they start exchanging pieces very quickly at the first opportunity. So this we should avoid. I already mentioned that when you are considering exchanges, please see the gains by both sides. What you are gaining, what your opponent is gaining. And based on that, you take the decision. Not every exchange is good for us. The second, they will pull back pieces. Okay, so they don't mind pulling back their pieces. So this move bishop e1, you could see it's a symptom. And the other is they play defensive. Okay, when something is under attack, they try to defend it immediately. So these three things will make us very passive players. Okay, passive play is not positional play. There is a difference. In positional play, you still improve your position, you improve your pawn structure, you improve your piece positions. But passive play, we don't mind harming our pieces, like bishop e1. Bishop e1 is justified only if he takes bishop c3, isn't it? If he does not take bishop c3, then bishop e1 doesn't make much sense, right? So avoid blind exchanges, automatic defense, pulling back pieces in general. They should be done only in very rare cases.
Wow.
Okay, so bishop e1 I wouldn't give any point, and knight e4 was a blunder. Conceptually it is a good move, but tactically it is not working.
Can I take a guess as to what the move
Yes.
was? Was it rook f1?
Okay.
Rook hf1?
Yes, what else? But after rook hf1 also, the problem is we still are not able to play knight e4, right? Because queen b6 is still coming. So once you see knight e4, queen b6, then automatically one move should come to our mind. From what we analyze, we should learn from our analysis and find the move. Okay, so Vaibhav, your move?
No, I was trying to rook he1.
Okay, how about Biswa?
Biswa, what would you play here?
Oh, I don't have a move yet.
So I played rook he1.
He did play this rook he1 and
so now you can understand this move. One, I want to play knight e4, and if you play queen b6, I can play c3. There is no bishop e3 anymore. Okay, so this is in a way prophylactic move, and more importantly, it is a developing move.
But what if now he takes on c3?
So he took. And guys, you have only 1 minute this time to decide how to recapture, and this is your 7th question. How should white play here? Take with the pawn or take with the queen? A lot of people were asking in the chat, why not bishop e4 instead of knight like rook e1? Was bishop e4 not a great move?
Yeah, bishop e4 is just more the queen. And I really don't know which piece should go to the e4 square.
So you wanted to keep, as you said, if it's a good square, you keep your options open, which piece should go there. So that's...
Because whichever piece goes there, it will make the other pieces unhappy.
Yeah.
If knight e4 goes, bd3 is not happy. If bishop e4 goes, knight c3 is not happy.
True. Okay, guys, time is up now. So you need to decide whether it's mainly a principal decision. Should you take with the pawn or with the queen? Let's see. Vaibhav, what would you take with?
The b pawn.
The b pawn, Biswa?
Yeah, pawn.
Pawn. Both of them take with the pawn.
That's very good.
Both get full point. Well done, guys.
Yeah. So here, one thing, my tournament situation, I needed a win, right? So that itself is a clear indication, right? It decides the factor for us. Like unless I have a very clear advantage in the end game, I wouldn't want to go for it. And another very important factor, Abhijit Kunte is very good in end games. Okay, so he's extremely strong in end games. So I really don't want to play to his strength. I would rather stick to my strength, which is I'm good in attack. So that is one thing. But more than that, more than our preferences, individual preferences, it is like when you have two bishops, even if you have bad pawn structure, it is okay. Okay, this is a very important principle. When you have two bishop advantage, bad pawn structures actually help the two bishops because it gives you more open lines. Okay. So having a bad pawn structure, it actually helps the side with two bishops.
Oh.
So, and I strongly feel I can create an attack. I don't think he's going to stay with the king in the center for long. He's going to play short castle at some point, and I felt I can launch an attack against this king.
Yes.
And he has only the queen, and with one queen, I don't think he can create much trouble to our king.
Are we still in the opening or like is this proper middle
No,
game?
the game is going to end in 7 moves. So
So this is a very important question, and I will try to confuse you and then eventually clear things. So white is playing middle game and black is playing open.
okay. Black is still not developed, so he's still in.
Oh,
So generally we think when we say middle game, we assume both sides are playing middle game, and opening both sides are playing opening. Not necessary. One side can be playing opening, the other side can be playing end game.
Nice. But
typically I'm playing endgame when opponent is playing opening.
Yeah, that's why I said like a 100-meter race, not a 500-meter or a 1 to 2 kilometer marathon.
by the way,
Speed is
I have one question, Ramesh. Here, the one thing which really is very difficult for people is this look of the pawns when they are doubled and isolated. They just cannot accept that such a bad pawn structure they can play with. So they do everything to keep it safe. How to overcome such a...
Yeah, that's a very important thing. Very good observation. Like that's why sometime back I said when we are upcoming, we are always trying to keep everything safe, solid, secure, and where things have to be. But that is not how chess should be played all the time. Okay, so it is very important to be ready to make compromises. That is what I was saying. You should be ready to give things if you are looking for higher things. So this is a very important quality we should develop. So it is a very practical decision White has taken. He knows he has double the pawns as well. But like I said, Black's pieces are not in a position to launch an attack against the Black king yet, White king yet. Only the queen is active and lone queen cannot do much damage. And just look at the White's pieces. All the White pieces are active, isn't it? Look at the two bishops, the rooks, everything is active. And look at the Black pieces, bishop c8, knight f7, rook a8, h8. So they are very passive, bearing the queen on c6. Only the queen c6 is active, all other pieces are passive. So it is, you have to trust on the principles, on the strengths of your position. And then that gives you the confidence to make compromises. Like I did with bc3, I'm willing to make a compromise because I believe I have good enough reasons to do it.
Okay, cool. So in this position, Abhijit Kunte went bishop d7. He
gives the option to go long castle open.
And here, Ramesh went for the move rook to e4. This time he makes use of the rook. I think mainly it was aimed against long castle because now it is met with rook c4, right?
Yeah. So if you see in this game, at 3 moments, I thought prophylactically. Can you name the 3 moments where I played prophylactically? At 3 moments in this game, I paid attention to what my opponent is doing and played accordingly. Even the audience?
This is one.
Yeah, this is one moment. So I felt like he could go long castle. So I'm playing rook e4 to prevent him from going long castle. This is one.
Yeah.
And 2 other moments.
Bishop g3 was one.
Yes.
Bishop g3, very good, because he was threatening knight d4, queen b4, knight d3 check. So that was again careful by playing g3. And the other was g1. Very good. I was almost willing to play knight e4 allowing queen b6. So with rook e1, I am preventing that bishop e3. Okay. So this is very important. So even when you are desperate for when you are attacking, it does not mean you throw positional considerations into dustbin. We have to do what has to be done. Okay, so rook e4.
He played rook c8, putting pressure on c3. And here you went rook to g4, attacking the g7 pawn.
Yeah, so Biswa, if we are given time, I guess Biswa would have preferred king b2 or c4, right?
Yes.
See, like the pawn on c3 is under attack. So what to do about it? So maybe I can play king b2 or I could play c4 and save the pawn, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
People who have the defensive tendency, they would think like that. Okay, and that's why I keep telling my students, you have to learn active defense. That is, don't defend at the first opportunity. Defense should be done as last resort. Okay, when nothing else works, you play a defensive move because
Got it.
you should start hating defensive moves. Okay, you should hate defensive moves, and you should always try to believe in the piece activity. If my pieces are active, even if I lose material, I should be fine. You have to believe in this. So rook g4.
Rook g4, the question is, if he takes the pawn on c3, are you okay to exchange the queen?
Yeah, I'm fine with the exchanging queens now because like his pawn structure is really horrible. And my pieces are like, even the hedge pawn is now under attack. If I grab the hedge pawn, I'll have two connected pass pawns. And if he pushes the hedge pawn, then I have bishop g6, all this stuff. Everything is hanging. F1, b7, e5.
So Abhijit didn't want to go into such an endgame. So he castled, hoping that now he can win this pawn for free. And here, Ramesh continued his very interesting play with bishop h4.
It's a very important move. The idea is bishop f6. So you see, like, I'm not going after the e5 pawn. This is very important point you should note. I'm not going after the e5 pawn or the e6 pawn because I feel those pawns actually restrict the mobility of black's pieces. Now, if you just remove the e6 pawn by magic, I cannot play rook g4. And it's simply precisely because he has the pawn, I have rook g4, and it is precisely because the e6 pawn is there, I'm able to play bishop f6. Otherwise, queen f6 will come. So when opponent has some bad pawn structure, we should not go after the pawns. And generally, we should have at least one minor piece in front of the king. If you just have 2 pawns or 3 pawns, it's not sufficient. So you should have at least one piece in the front of the king. And here that is missing. He only has 2 pawns. And that invites me to launch an attack. So again, you see very important lesson. I did not worry about the c3 pawn.
Yeah.
I could have played some c4 or queen c2, king b2 or something like that to defend the pawn. But I'm going for active defense, counter attack. This is very important. Every move you can delay playing a defensive move, it helps. So if you have to play a defensive move on move 20, okay, you can play a defensive move without much effort on move 20. But you have to spend 5 minutes to find a difficult move by which you can postpone playing the defensive move. And after he plays on the 21st move, anyway you play the defensive move. Then it is worth spending that 5 moves, postpone the defensive move by 1 more move.
5 minutes.
So the more you can prolong or postpone playing a defensive move, and for that, many times you have to put extra effort. It is worth spending that effort.
So you said, sorry, cut you short. You were saying something.
Yeah, carry on.
No, I was just asking, you said that pawns in front of the king are not enough, like 2 pawns or 3 pawns.
Even 3
like
pawns.
One minor piece, one minor piece should be there. So if during a game I see that my opponent has only pawns in front of the king, do you think I should start planning an attack at
Yeah,
that
definitely. That's a very good question. Now the question is how we should attack. So there are 2 ways to attack, or you could say there are multiple ways. Let me explain. So one, if you have just pawns in front of the king, if let's say our opponent has only pawns in front of the king, no minor pieces, then we should consider attack. This is very important. Sagar, how did you do that?
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, magic.
No, I thought if there's some arrows that can be made. If there are just 3 pawns.
Yeah, so if there is only pawns in front of the king, we may think the king is safe, but no. Maybe in endgame, yes, but not in the middle game. So whenever there is only pawns and no pieces, we should consider an attack. Now the question is, there are many questions when it comes to attack. So let me explain. So do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we are considering attack, there are 2 ways to attack. One, attack with pieces. The other is attack with pawns. So this is a major decision. The other major decision is, should I attack with pieces which is already present near my opponent king, or should I bring more pieces and then start my attack? Basically the question of timing. Should I attack as immediately, or should I bring more pieces and then start the attack? The question of timing. Okay, so this is also very important. So whenever there are no pieces, only pawns, generally it is good to attack with pieces, not with pawns. So you see, I did not go h4, g4. I played rook e4, rook g4, bishop h4. I was attacking with pieces. This will be more effective than launching a pawn storm. Okay. When there are pieces in front, you push pawns, you gain time by pushing pawns. If there is a knight on f6, you play g4, g5. You push pawn and gain time. But when there are no pieces, it doesn't happen that way. Right? Okay. So, and the question of timing. So, should I attack immediately or should I prepare the attack? This is very easy if you think logically. If your opponent is also attacking you, then question of time is very important. You cannot prepare the attack because he's already attacking you. So you also have to match his speed. So the timing is very important. But if your opponent is not attacking you or his attack is slow and not very threatening, then you have time to bring your pieces which are not participating in the attack and then start the attack. Okay?
Okay. Got it. Okay, so I'll get back the game and we'll come to the moment where bishop h4 was played. Here Abhijit Kunte played king h8, but instead of this, if he would have taken c3 this time, maybe
you could take queen a1 mate is threatened.
Yeah.
So you could just take queen c3, rook c3 and bishop f6 still. So you'll be forced to play g6, right?
Yeah.
I can take bishop g6. G6, rook d7. I don't know, maybe rook g6 is good enough. Rook g6, king h7, rook g7 and rook d7.
King g7, rook g7, king h6, and now take this. And somehow, even with this minimal material, still a very dangerous position.
Even two connected cross pawns.
Yeah, even
With an
these
attack.
two.
And
Okay.
let's see the activity, how well it helps us at the right moment.
So he went here, king h8, and guys, now your 8th question of the game. What do you play here? This is actually a point which I had not included in the questions, but Ramesh told me to add this specifically. So here it's white to play. What would you do here? Very interesting. I'll put on the time. Oh, Anish in the chat here. Anish Giri in the chat says, never thought of classifying attacks in these terms, but it makes sense. Interesting.
Thanks, Anish.
It's good to see Anish is back to streaming now. For almost a month he was away preparing for the candidates, but now the candidates has been cancelled. So he's back. He did upside down chess yesterday, which I still did not understand what it is, but here white to play, guys, and this I think is a very key moment in the game because white is a pawn down, black is trying to consolidate himself. Also white has some weaknesses around his king to think about. So if you make some mistake here, then maybe it can be fatal. Frederick writes, so you are learning new things here, Anish Baba. Okay. At this point, Ramesh, in the game, were you nervous or were you like, I have got things under control? I know it's a long time ago, 18 years ago.
I remember this game and its associated emotions well.
Yeah.
I generally enjoy attacking. So when I got this question, I was like, very pumped up.
You were very confident. Okay.
And I could also sense like Aravindh did not like his position. That also gives you a lot of confidence. He likes generally like quite closed positions.
Yeah.
And
Where he can outmaneuver his opponent. Yeah. But this time it's like some kind of a fist fight now, where both sides have to go on opponent's king.
Mhm.
Okay, guys, time is coming to an end. So let's start with Biswa this time. Biswa, what is your move?
Rook F1.
Rook F1 is what Biswa would like to play. And Vaibhav?
Bishop captures on H7.
Bishop takes H7. Okay.
Okay, what's the point? So Bishop H7, let's say after King H7, you want to take Queen D7, right?
Yeah, and then
But then
check.
if I take...
No, I don't want to capture on G7 actually. I want to go check.
Queen D3 check, you mean? Okay.
Yeah, and if the king goes back...
If he goes King G8, you want to play Bishop F6, right?
Okay, I actually thought Queen G6 first.
Okay.
Threatening mate.
So in that case, like I should go E4 probably.
Very interesting. Queen G6 is actually a forced mate here. Yeah?
I'm not forced to... Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see...
E4 is...
E4.
I think.
First of all, King H7 is not forced anyway. Okay. But you could still go Queen, Rook E4.
I guess I can still capture on D7, but yeah.
Yeah, now the point is if you're threatening to give discovered checks, and also the D7 is hanging, D7 bishop. Not easy to... And if Queen C3, Rook C3, you have Rook D7. Otherwise, black is fine. Yeah.
I think I made a blunder in my calculation. It turned out to be a decent move though, but I don't know.
Okay, but again,
I forgot to calculate.
Yeah, even when you go to this endgame, like you still have to show some technique. It's like equal pawn endgame we are going. Still, white is clearly better, probably close to winning, but I really did not want to go to an endgame and show some technique. It's better to go for mate if we can.
So Bishop H7 was not a very bad move. It was actually...
But the other move...
Biswa played Rook F1.
Yeah, this I don't like because, I don't know, what is the threat here?
Bishop E7.
Bishop E7, you are trying to win material. Okay, so generally what I would suggest is, when you are attacking, try not to win material. Okay, this is another common issue with many players. It is like in Hindi movies or in English movies, in Tamil movies, we could see it like the thief goes to a house to steal. Okay, let's say there's a lot of money in the house. There is a dog. What the thief will do? He'll give a biscuit packet. He'll throw some biscuits at the dog. The dog goes after the biscuits, and the house owner loses all the property. Right? So for the dog, the biscuit value is more. Okay, so we should not be like that. So when you are attacking, so we are not attacking material, we are attacking the king, right? So we should be very clear about it, not get distracted by gaining material. Okay, so conceptually, I don't like Rook F1. So generally, when you are attacking, if you can give material an attack, that is best, instead of gaining material and losing the attack in the process. Okay, so Rook F1, you are trying to gain material. Generally, that will not be the best approach. People go like Knight H6, something like that. Okay, so
Queen E2, yeah, you
that's
played.
who I like very much because I want to attack the H7. Already there is some pressure on G7, and here there is some pressure on some Queen H5 ideas or Queen E4 ideas can come. And very importantly, I'm still not worrying about the C3 pawn. This is very important because for many players that will be a big headache. If only my C3 pawn was safe, I could focus on my attack. So they slow down to do something about the C3 pawn. But you simply give it, and what is the worst that can happen? Queen C3, Queen A1 check, and you still have King D2, there is no mate. Okay, you could run with the king. So fine.
Anish was saying, I can't solve this position.
He's joking. He's just...
By the way, bishop e4, does that also work?
Yeah, I rejected this for what reason? Looks like you're winning a piece immediately, right?
Because bishop e4 attacks the queen and also take this.
Yeah, bishop e4 looks to be winning on the spot. But I saw it and rejected for some reason. I don't remember.
Because, okay, if we take...
Queen a4, queen a3 check.
Queen a4 maybe. And take this.
Queen d7, queen a3 check. And just king b1 and... Yeah, we should be able to defend this.
Yeah. Oh, maybe rook d8?
c5, huh?
Sorry?
Okay, yeah, yes. No, bishop is on h4.
Yeah, cannot go rook d8.
So maybe you can play rook c5 or something. I can just go bd3, but the worst case.
I just want to say I would have played rook d1, 100%.
Which one?
Rook d1 with the bishop capturing it later, and then the bishop would have captured the rook. Now I'm saying the error. I'm just saying I would have played.
I didn't get it. In which position?
I was just joking. Here, when after the exchanges, when you were bringing rook d1 and he said that there's a bishop on h4 protecting that square, I said I would have 100% played it and the bishop would have captured it.
Okay. Rook d8. Yeah. Okay.
So, in such tense moments, it's very easy to miss a diagonal. I don't know why. I've just noticed that missing a diagonal during tense moments is more than missing like other kinds of things. I don't know.
True.
Yeah, so generally it is my good strength as well as weakness. Like when I'm attacking, I just focus on the attack. So I think bishop e4 is winning very quickly, but I think queen e4, queen e2 is also good enough.
Queen e2 was played in the game by Ramesh, and then Abhijit Kunte sacrificed a pawn with e4, and now guys, you have to find the only winning move in this position. So this is not an easy one. Now we are coming to the end of the game, last few moves. So white to play, and now be careful because, by the way, in the previous one with bishop h7 and rook f1, any points, Ramesh, there?
What were the moves?
Bishop h7 and rook f1.
Biswa said rook f1, no. Bishop h7.
Half point?
Half point, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm being very conservative with my points.
No, not at all. 5. Yeah. 5 all. Now it's, by the way, guys, in this today's session, we have one bonus question. So there are 11 instead of 10. And so this is the 8th one. And after that we have, this is the 9th one already. So we have 2 more left after this. And we are at 5 all. The score is 5 each.
I mean, this was the point of queen e2.
Guys, don't go for small things. Go for the king now. We don't want a piece. We don't want... Sorry?
Don't go for the biscuits.
Yeah, we need the... What do we do? The jewelry, yeah?
Yeah.
I've already written down the move, but I'm not sure if it sounds too extravagant.
Yeah, Vaibhav, but calculate it. Try to see your opponent's best defense also. If you will be able to, maybe this time you may be right, because it is some kind of an extravagant.
Let's see.
Go for the king.
Anish says thief pays India.
How does he find time to do everything?
Yeah, that is the thing about Anish. Like, he's there everywhere. And then when you ask him, do you know this happened in the chess world or this? He's like, yeah, I read about it. I know it. He knows everything. And he knows he has all the novelties prepared and everything.
Yeah.
And then Danny, he has pictures on Instagram with Danny also, with Sopiko. I'm like, amazing. Superman. Okay, guys, last 10 seconds.
He stops everyone.
Okay. Done. Yeah, let's start this time with Vaibhav, who has an extravagant move.
Rook captures on G7.
Rook takes G7. Biswa.
Queen takes on E4.
But Biswa is... Biswa, why exchange queens?
I don't see the point of Rook G7.
Okay. Rook G7 was played in the game, so Vaibhav full point. Does Biswa get a point for Queen takes E4?
No, maybe half a point.
Half a point? Because, okay, it's still winning, yeah? Queen E4.
But it's not winning, I guess.
But then you have to decide whether he gets half or not.
Okay, maybe no.
Yeah, okay. So, Rook takes G7 was played in the game, and now came the moment of truth when Abhijit Kunte actually took on D3, and now Vaibhav, you have to justify your move, and also Biswa, you have to... By the way, just to clarify, what happens after if he had taken the Rook?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Queen G4.
Okay.
And only move is king goes to H8 and bishop F6 is made.
Yes. And if king H6?
Sorry. Bishop. So then maybe F4 check, queen F4 check, maybe. One sec. I have to think. I didn't think this line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there must be something like that.
Yeah. Good thing is I also did not take king at 6 seriously. I thought something will come.
Okay, I think.
But I think you are right, yeah? Queen F4 wins, no?
Yeah, queen F4, king maybe H5.
Yeah.
Is it?
Check.
King H5, check. Yeah, I think it's.
And mate. And if he went king G7 here, then maybe bishop F6 should finish him off. Because now if king G6, there is bishop E4 winning the queen. And if king G8, there is queen G4 check, knight G5 takes and mate. Yeah, I think that sort of covers the king move. So, yeah, queen G4 check and followed by mate. Yeah, Ramesh, this is right, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So he took on D3, guys, and now is your 10th question. How to justify? Now the rook is hanging, the queen is hanging. So this is a must get moment. Yeah, this one. So Vaibhav looks very cool. Had you already seen it, Vaibhav, before? Like,
yeah, I wrote it like way back.
Okay,
but
you
I'm still 100% not sure. Like, I don't know if I'll make an error. Let's see.
Biswa, come on. Let's go. Let's find this move. Anish says queen takes e4, breaks into the house, then reports himself to the police. Biswa bad thief.
Only he can come up with all this. No, generally, like I teach a lot of young children, like even Prague, like they love such analogies. They can relate to it.
True.
They can understand these principles better. So, but when I talk to adults, okay, I don't know in which category Anish fits in.
He likes these analogies, so I think the youngsters one.
Oh my god, I might have made an error. Let's see.
Guys, this time you don't have the light square bishop to attack, so it may be difficult to checkmate him if you... Shots fired.
It's a good thing I have 30 seconds.
Weibo is that kid who changes the answer at the last moment. Yeah, he was sure. Time khatam ho raha hai.
I was going after extravagant to way too extravagant. But
Maybe you are right. Maybe you are right. Let's see.
Right.
Let's see.
You're doing this all the time in our exams, right? Last 2
Okay.
minutes, all the answers change.
Yeah, let's go, Biswa. Come on. You need to attack this time. Biswa, come on.
Queen G4.
Queen G4 is his attacking move. And what about Vaibhav?
Sorry, can I just
I
make
wrote
it?
down.
Oh, okay. I just saw.
I wrote.
No, why did I? make
Okay,
it
what
so
did you write, Vaibhav?
I wrote down Queen H5, but my first thing that I had written earlier was Rook captures on H7, which was King captures, but then the Knight comes to H6, and I could not find the continuation.
Ah, yes. That's the defense, Knight H6. So here takes, check, and Knight H6 seems to save save
That's why I
black.
just played. That's what I saw, and then I was like, okay, maybe Queen H5. is-
So now you are playing this, but what if he takes here?
I think it's the same line then.
But there is no bishop now.
Yeah, you don't, for King H5, you don't have Bishop E2.
So now here,
Yeah.
check, king here. I don't know.
Wait. So now if we go G4.
Also here, here,
Then there's actually at least a draw.
Yeah, I guess Queen. Sorry,
check,
Bishop
and here, now again there is no bishop takes e4, no?
No, but. Oh.
Maybe this is still not clear because rook d3 perhaps, with the idea of rook g3. Gets very concrete, yeah?
No,
The
but I
move-
could go King H5, I guess.
Here, yeah?
Yeah.
Check and king h5.
H5.
By the way,
Is it, so if I play G4 here, G4,
Yeah,
King captures, and then I go Queen G3. Isn't that mate? So then.
no, king h
I'm
g5.
pushing it too hard. Yeah. Maybe H.
h4, king runs away. But okay, so and Biswa's move was queen g4 here.
Oh, it's very bad.
I could take Queen C3, no? And controls the diagonal.
And you have no threats here, so maybe you will get mated. So here,
No points for Queen G4. Also Queen F5.
queen h5, queen f5 both don't get points. Okay, so here the right move was, as many of the people got in the chat, including Anish, Ilam Parthi and others, bishop f6 was the move. And the point is, if you win the queen here, then just move the rook and it's a checkmate.
What? Wow.
So it's a beautiful mate with a rook and a bishop just required. So Abhijit in this position decided to trick his opponent with queen takes c3. And now guys, your final point in this game, and you get 3 minutes for this. Please find the right move. This one, come on, you can do it. Ramesh made the next move and game was over. Because the difference between, what is the difference between previous position and this one? Why can't you just take the queen? Just try
Because
to
that-
think.
Yeah.
Yes. And now what is the solution?
Manish is the highest rated comedian in this show. He's going to come up with something nasty.
Anish finds the answer within few seconds and then he thinks of jokes.
So again, guys, material or mate? So I can see many of you are going after material.
Be the worst thief possible ever. Try to this time take everything that is in the house. Finish the game. Don't leave even. Don't leave that we will play the end game or we want the queen or anything. Just pura saaf. Everything should be cleaned up.
I'm just thinking the worst thief possible. कि जो किसी के घर चोरी करने गया, he could not find anything और खुद का फोन भी भूला है. ID and material.
It would be like in this position making the move queen g4 and then getting checkmated on c2.
Are you saying there's a mate in one here?
Not one, but there is a mate. And
I
next
think
move.
There is a mate in 1, 2, 3, 4. I think mate in 4 first, I guess.
Did you find it? Did you find it? Vaibhav?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant. And just remember, if you give any discovered check, let's say you move the rook away somewhere, the queen can take the bishop, yeah? So you have to be careful of any discovered checks. Okay, guys, time is up.
Can I go first?
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Same
Okay,
as
okay. Biswa, because Biswa has not found, I think Vaibhav has found the answer.
I have found it.
Oh, you found it. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go.
Rook takes on h7.
Okay, and Vaibhav?
Rook G8.
Vaibhav says rook to g8. Biswa says rook takes h7. Which is the right move?
Biswa, rook h1, king h1. What's going on?
Queen to h5.
What do you expect from black?
Knight H.
he thought black will play king g8.
Yeah, king g8, queen g6 is mate. But he has knight h6.
Sorry, queen g6.
Okay, so knight h6, you can still win the queen. Then what happens? So it is like we are going after biscuits now. Right? Not mate, we are trying to win material. But now the game continues, right?
Yeah, I think even black may be okay here in this position.
Yeah, yes, enough material.
And Vaibhav's move was rook to g8. And Vaibhav, congratulations, that is the right move. Well done. Rook g8. Because when it's a double check, the king has to move. And now you take. And what was the continuation?
Knight G, Queen G4, Knight G5,
Only
then
move?
Queen captures, King F7, Queen G7, King F8, Queen E7, E7.
Wow. Well done, Vaibhav. Well done. Excellent. And this was tremendous. So the
I'm very happy. Like, I was very happy with the outcome and the way I played the game.
yeah, it was tremendous, tremendous game. And the end was very beautiful.
Yeah.
Also, it gave you second GM norm. It gave you the British title. So it was a very memorable game in your life.
Yeah. No, I won the previous game. I won. I think it was Jonathan Rosa. And this game I won. No, previous game I bet Barua. In the 8th round, I bet Barua. I had to win 2-2. So I bet Barua with black pieces, then Abhijit, and then Rosan, I guess. And 11th round, McShane. So I won 4 games in a row and got the title. So it was a special event. It's a very entertaining game as well.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
very good effort from both Weibo and Biswa. So for Biswa, few suggestions I would give. Like I already mentioned, like the tendency to take risk, you should embrace it.
Correct.
Okay. So because you will learn a new dimension about yourself. Okay, so till now you're thinking like I'm not capable of taking risk, or you might feel like if I take risk, it will backfire, something like this. It will initially, but once you accept it and work on that, you will definitely get better at it. So once you do that, you will improve much faster.
Amazing.
And also the calculation part. So try to solve some very simple puzzles because the Rook G8 is not very difficult. So you could try solving similar puzzles. There are many websites and books available. So if you can just spend like 20-30 minutes every day solving some puzzles, it will keep you very alert for such possibilities.
Yeah, so solving positions helps you to take risk, right? Because then your calculation is better.
No, not just risk, because risk taking, see, I've seen a lot of young children, they solve puzzles every day, but still their calculation abilities are not very good, and the risk taking abilities don't get better. So unless our skills improve, these things don't get better. So just solving puzzles by itself will help only if you also fulfill few other requirements. For example, most players, when they solve puzzle, they do it online. Let's say chess24 or chessbase.com or Chess, something like this, where the computer gives you a position and you make the first move on the board, right? And then computer makes the opponent's move, and then you make the next move on the board. So here you are basically moving pieces and solving, and this doesn't help improving your calculation skills. So you have to get the complete answer in your head and then only see the answer. So that is very important. So just moving pieces and solving one more at a time, it's not going to improve our skills. So before you see the solution, you have to see the answer till the end. That's very important. Yeah. And another very important thing, most players, what they do when they solve puzzles, they miss some resources for the opponent. They miss some clever defense. And if this happens very often, this also does not help in improving our calculation skills. So if there is a good defense for opponent, you must find it and refute it. That is also essential. And if you get this solution incorrectly or halfway correct, that also does not help. So you have to get the complete solution correctly. So just pay attention to these few minor issues, and how you do things is also very critical, not just what you do. So just solving puzzles, but without doing the basic things correctly, it's not going to help. So please pay attention to that.
Okay. Yeah. And any suggestions to Weibo?
Yeah, Weibo, like, he got very emotional when he missed some moves initially, and I think he took some time to recover. Okay. This also happens during the game for many players. So when we miss some things, we become very annoyed and we become too critical about ourselves. At that moment, it's very important you stop being too critical. Just forgive yourself. Okay, you have done something you should not have done, but you cannot go back and change it. So you just have to live with it, live with the consequences. So at least from now, try to avoid making mistakes. So that recollecting your calm mindset is very important during the game. So try to work on that as well. So getting worked up emotionally during the game is not good. So we should not react too negatively when we realize that we made some mistake. You simply forgive yourself, just carry on. You can be as critical as you want after the game is over, but not during.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Ramesh, for your time, and it was a very, very instructive session, not just for Biswa and Vaibhav, but also for myself and also for the people in the chat, because they learned a lot of things. So thank you. Sorry?
Especially Anish.
Anish, yes. And if Anish wins the candidates, then we can say, okay, he learned it from here. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Vaibhav and Biswa.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Great job popularizing the game, taking the game to the masses. Fantastic job. And thank you all the viewers for watching these sessions and encouraging us and also learning the process. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much.
Sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
By the way, guys, this is the standings right now. So Vaibhav is on 55 points.
He's on fire. He's on fire.
Vaibhav has won. If you look at it, he's won the Vidit one. He won the Tanya. No, Tanya one was won by Anirban. Draw between Vaibhav and Anirban for Ganguly. Draw between Biswa and Vaibhav for Negi. Srinath was won by Vaibhav. Gelfand was three-way tie. Sopiko was completely aced by Vaibhav. 8 points. He was on fire. Yeah. And Short was won by Biswa. 5.5. And Ramesh was won by Vaibhav towards the end. He found all the tactical shots. So very nice battle, guys. And 10th episode will be the prize reveal. And we'll have someone interesting joining in. But first, Asian Championship will be ended 3 days. And then we will do it the next week.
Sagar, I have a question actually. Two things. First thing, I got mated twice. I got stalemated my opponent twice yesterday with the king and queen. Twice in the same day. So I remember you showed it once, that be in the position of a knight.
Guys, I have to go see a house, so I'll just leave. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Sagar.
Thanks, Biswa, for really working very hard, and thanks also Weibo for that, because it's really fun because you guys work hard. Thank you.
This was one of the most instructive sessions because he's also an instructor, so it was very amazing.
Yeah, he could pinpoint what was going wrong, which was very nice. Take care.
It's like chess therapy. Okay, guys. Bye.
Chess therapy. Yeah. Okay, bye. Vaibhav, are you there? Vaibhav suddenly slept off. Yeah. 1 second. So you want to learn how to mate with a queen, right?
I have a feeling like I'll look it up. Don't worry.
No.
I just wanted to.
I can tell you will learn it in 10 seconds. Okay, it won't take more than 10. But I think this is very important because sometimes we just do it without a method, but if we know the method, it's very easy. And I know last time when I had asked people on the stream when I was doing it at Dr. Chess, at least more than half of the people said we never knew about this technique. So they just do it and then out of the blue it works. So
actually I looked a couple of episodes where you might have said it, but I couldn't find the episode where you said that whole thing that there should be a combination of in position of a knight with the king or something like that, but I couldn't gauge exactly what it was.
So here, the first step is to move your queen in a position which is at a knight distance to the black king. So where will you play it?
E6.
Yes, fantastic. And if I go king g7, now put it at the knight's distance once again.
F5.
Fantastic. So you see when you go to e6, here, you had already boxed the king in to this much part only. Now, when you go here, you go f5. Now again the box becomes smaller, sort of. Okay, now if he goes king g8.
F6.
Fantastic. King h7.
I think now I want to make a king move, maybe?
No. First box him in completely. Keep him only. See, now...
G5.
Yeah, queen g5. Now, he's boxed into just these two squares. It's very simple to know. Now, what do you do?
Now bring the king, because now g6 would have been
stalemate. So, you get the king, and now that he is forced to remain only on two squares, you checkmate him.
Wow, crazy. I couldn't believe I had like 1.5 minutes and I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing some things and I'm just like moving around while I'm thinking, what was it? And I'm just like making random moves till then.
Okay.
Both the times I stalemate.
What do you do here with the queen now? White to play.
I think F5 first.
Fantastic. Queen F5. Let's say it's black to move here and black does this. Now what do you do? Because he's not allowing you to come
E4.
at an...
E4.
E4, yeah. Okay, sorry. King F7.
I think I'll just like, maybe make a move and then reach that square.
Exactly.
Like
So what will you play?
Maybe E4. And
Yeah,
then
fantastic.
wait for the king.
Exactly. Here?
And then F5.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, man. One more question I have
And
for
this
you.
is a mate.
So you know how it's a common thing that in the end game, if there's a bishop, then keep your pawns on the opposite color of the bishop so that it cannot be attacked. But isn't it at the same time that it takes away, like say for example, I've reached the end game where I have like 5 pawns and a bishop of like each of us has a bishop, right? So now if I put all my 5 pawns on dark squares and the opponent has a dark squared bishop, I'm also taking away all the squares that the bishop can attack. So I kind of feel like
how can it be that bishop can attack?
No, I mean like I'm taking away all the squares that a bishop can reach. So I'm reducing the squares where a bishop can affect also. And every time, say for example, a pawn on a square would also control the diagonally opposite square. So all those squares are just gone for a bishop. Like if I have pawns on like along a diagonal and making a V on the board, just 5 or 6 pawns.
See, like this.
Then a bishop.
Okay.
Yeah, say for example something like this.
So here, what would you say? Is white better or black?
I mean, all theory says that white should be better here.
Yes.
That's what I've learned.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, say for example, the pawns were like towards, abhi main pawn movement kiya nahi hai, the pawns haven't got locked. If I keep the pawns on the color of the, jaise isme sare pawns right, they're on the opposite colors. The white, the black has all the white, all the pawns on the white bishop's color. So they are actually controlling all the squares also. So how is that? Why is this?
So mainly क्या होता है कि this bishop controls all the light squares. If you see, it can even later control this, and the pawns control the dark squares. So they complement each other very well. So the king cannot enter easily, while the black bishop can control this square. Let's say this pawn is controlling e4 and g4. The f4 square remains uncontrolled. If I can put the bishop here on d3, you see my pawns will control e5 and g5 and the bishop will control f5. So what happens is that the bishop works in tandem with the pawns of opposite color. Also here, if you see now, my bishop is attacking both the pawns and his bishop has to defend both the pawns. So this is already a position of zugzwang, because bishop moves here, you lose this pawn. Bishop moves here, you lose this pawn. King, if it goes here, you enter and then win this pawn. If the king goes here, you move this way and win this pawn. So in a way, because all the pawns are on light squares for black, his bishop is in a defensive situation. Has to keep defending his own pawns.
Sorry, one small deflecting question though. If it was black to move and the king went to f5, like is it a draw?
Yeah, very interesting question. That's why I wanted to start with king on f4 already, because I knew that you would ask this. But yeah, it's an interesting king f5. And now the question is, can I get you to move your king again? Let's say I go bishop g2.
Yeah, I go back and then you give me a...
But the point is, maybe not, because if I give you a check from here, you will come here. So
no, right now it's black to move.
Yeah, black
so maybe the
goes here. Let's imagine. Now, let's say I go here. Oh, okay. I can do one thing. I have an idea. I'll go bishop h1. Oh, does it work? What will you play? I think you are forced to play bishop e6 here. Because if you play bishop g8, keeping control, then I go bishop g2.
Don't you think if we just give a check and get the king to f4, that should be sufficient?
How? From where?
On h3 maybe?
Yeah, but the problem is that if here I go bishop g2, you go bishop g8, I give a check, you come here. You don't allow.
And going the other way would do the same thing.
So that's why what I am trying to do is I am trying to bring a zugzwang, which is bishop h1. Now the thing is, this pawn is attacked, correct? So you have only 2 squares for the bishop. You can't go here because I'll just pick up the pawn. So if you go now bishop g8, for example, I'll go bishop g2. And the point is, if you go bishop f7, I will play bishop f3. It seems like you're just moving around, but now what I did is, I'm attacking this, and you need to remain here in order to defend this and this. So bishop cannot move. So the king has to now move back, and I'll come in. So by that logic, actually, you should play here. The reason why you can't play bishop e6 here, or maybe you can. Yeah, you can. Because check, king here, take, king f4 and king f6. This is a draw. So actually speaking, if the king is on f5, maybe it is a draw here, because somehow I'm not able to break through. But if the king is here and I can get my king to f4, I win, because now you are too passive in the position.
So, okay, I understand in this example, and if like it's white to move, then it's winning. But what if they were like just 2 pawns, maybe g2 and h2, something like that, and the opposite opponent has like dark squared bishop, and we have a light squared bishop. So would you, even in those 2 pawns where interlocking cannot happen, do you think even in that case, like we should put the pawns on the color which is...
If you talk about opposite colored bishop, it becomes even more, more complicated in general. They say that the aggressive side, like the side which is winning, should put its pawn on the opposite color of its bishop. The side which is trying to defend should put its pawn on the same color of its bishop here. So let's imagine, I'll just give you an example here, that if white has 2 pawns here, okay, like this. So now it's very clear who is attacking and who is defending. It's white who is attacking, black who is defending. So if you make a move like d5, this would be a mistake as an attacker, because you are putting the pawns on the same color of your bishop. And now after king f6, this bishop cannot control this square, and if you bring the king in, I will block it. So you see there is a blockade, and now there is no way to uproot this blockade. It's very difficult. While if you had begun with the move e5, what would have happened is that here, let's say he moves away, I come here, I'll give a check, I'll use my pawns, and I'll push them on dark squares always. And when I push them on dark squares, my pawns will cover the color complex of my opponent's bishop, and my bishop will cover the light squares. So they will do a complementary job. While the pawns being on light squares here, they are doing a duplication of job. This is covering all the light squares. My bishop can also cover only light squares. So if you're trying to win, you should always put your pawns on the opposite color of your bishop. If you're trying to hold the game, then it's better to,
so black
in
would
opposite
prefer
color.
Black would prefer keeping its pawns on the dark squares, right?
Here, because it's defending. Like for example, if you were to a bit naive and put your pawns on light squares, then my bishop will come and attack it. So for example, here if I say this is the position and it's black to play, then I guess the right move for black would be to play c5 here.
Right.
Because after the move c5,
yeah, of course, like it captures in the...
If I go d5, now black is successful, he can blockade.
I have a feeling like, I think I understand what you're saying completely, and it's just that maybe the next time I get stuck during a game, maybe I'll share that position and then ask exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a better way.
Yeah, it's
maybe
important.
I'm missing out what...
When you are playing...
missing out.
Also, when you have a bishop and an opponent has knight, it's important to put the pawns on opposite color of your bishop. It's very important, and a very famous game is Fischer-Taimanov, which you should just, for you to...
There's no exception to that rule, right? Like,
of course, there will be huge number of exceptions, but it's a general good practice.
Yeah. Cool.
There will be huge number of exceptions because
I'm sure.
there will be positions where if you put the pawn on opposite color of the bishop, it just dies because the knight comes and
Right.
picks it up.
I'm sure. Yeah, I get.
But if the knight cannot attack it, then ideally you should put it on the opposite color.
Cool. Okay. So next time I have a game, I think where I get stuck something like around that, I'll share it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Great session again. Yeah. That thing that mid game mein, what are the ways to analyze? That was really nice.
Yeah.
So,
And it was a very instructive session by Ramesh. I think it was very nice. And thank you so much for working so hard on these positions. It's not easy, yeah? So 2 hours pura.
it's great fun. Thank you so much, Sagar.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye, Virat. Oh, sorry. Bye.
Bye, Sahil.
See you. Okay, guys. Thank you all for joining in. And it was a wonderful day. Very, very instructive session. A great thanks to R.B Ramesh. Thank you all, the mods, especially Gopu, for putting in the links of the chess training academy that has been launched by Ramesh and the fellow trainers, and people can join in there. And it was a very instructive session by Ramesh. He knows exactly where the weaknesses of Biswa and Weibo were, and he could quickly point them out, which was nice. I particularly liked where he said defensive players prefer exchanges. They pull back their pieces and they kind of go on the defense. And the players who hate losing do these 3 things. So he's thought about these things deeply as a trainer, which is very nice. And also a big thanks to Biswa and Weibo for making this series possible. They come and they work hard. They want to improve, and they're giving it their best. And of course, all the viewers who come and learn here, thank you so much for doing that. And last but not the least, Frederick, Anish, and so many other stars come and check this out. So thank you all for joining. I think I missed one. Rahul Krishna, thank you for your super chat. And there was one more super chat which was for thinking out of the box, just forget the box, by Survivor. So thank you, Survivor, for all of the people who sent in super chats. And see you guys today at 7:30 p.m. We will have a blitz challenge with Elizabeth Pates, German #1 female player. It's going to be great fun. If you aren't a ChessBase account member, do become one. Do consider becoming one so that you can play against her. I'll be commentating and analyzing the games as well with her. So see you then. Bye bye. Do like the stream and take care.